The interstellar assembly hall buzzed with nervous energy as envoy Mira-chan strode through the towering entryway. At 33, Mira was the youngest diplomat Earth had ever sent to represent humanity among the stars. Her heart raced, but she maintained her composure, knowing the fate of human-alien relations hung in the balance. As Mira entered the grand chamber, she immediately sensed the tension. The 15 alien representatives, each from a different corner of the galaxy, shifted uneasily in their seats. Their eyes of various shapes and colors, all fixed on the center of the room where a sight that defied belief awaited. A colossal six-limbed reptilian creature thrashed against heavy restraints, its needle-like teeth gnashing and barbed tail lashing. The beast stood easily thrice Myra's height, its scales a shimmering array of deep purples and silvers. This was a Kresh, the most feared predator in known space. Standing nearby was Zorax, the Vexery ambassador. His crimson skin and gleaming black eyes marked him as one of the most influential species in the interstellar assembly. He regarded Mira with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. "Envoy Chan," Zorax's voice sliced through the air. "Welcome to your first assembly meeting. I trust you find our demonstration suitably impressive." Myra's mind raced. This wasn't the formal diplomatic gathering she'd expected. The raging Kresh, the palpable fear in the room. It all reeked of intimidation tactics. She realized that humanity's standing in the galactic community might hinge on how she handled the next few moments. Taking a deep breath, Mira approached the chained Kresh. Ignoring the gasps and warnings from the assembly members, she spoke in a calm, steady voice. "Easy there, big one," she said, holding out her hand. "No one's going to harm you." The Kresh's thrashing slowed, its amber eyes fixing on Mira with what could only be described as curiosity. Mira continued to speak softly, using techniques she'd learned from Earth's animal behaviorists. To the astonishment of everyone in the chamber, the Kresh gradually calmed, eventually sitting docilely at Myra's feet. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the assembly. Zorax's face contorted in a mix of shock and anger. How did you accomplish that?" he demanded. Mira turned to address the assembly, her hand resting gently on the Kresh's scaled head. "On Earth we have a long history of working with apex predators," she explained. "Wolves, big cats, even sharks. It's all about understanding their behavior and forming a bond based on mutual respect." Over the next few weeks, Mira threw herself into studying the Kresh. The assembly granted her access to their specialized habitats, and she spent countless hours observing and interacting with the creatures. She formed a particularly strong bond with one Kresh she named Lyra, after the constellation. As Mira delved deeper into Kresh behavior, she began to notice discrepancies between her observations and the official Vexery reports. The Kresh displayed a level of intelligence and emotional complexity that far exceeded what she'd been told. More troublingly, she saw signs of systematic abuse and conditioning designed to enhance the creature's aggression. One evening, as Mira was reviewing her notes, Lyra suddenly tensed. The Kresh began pacing agitatedly, growling at a seemingly ordinary wall. Trusting Lyra's instincts, Mira investigated and discovered a hidden panel. Behind it, she found Zorax and a group of Vexery operatives tampering with the habitat's security systems. Confronted, Zorax's facade of diplomacy fell away. "You shouldn't be here, human," he snarled. "Your meddling threatens the very foundation of Vexery society. For centuries we've used Kresh to maintain our dominance. If the other races learn of their true nature, we'll lose everything." Mira barely escaped with her life, fleeing the habitat with Lyra at her side. As alarms blared and Vexery forces gave chase, Mira realized she'd stumbled upon a conspiracy that could shake the interstellar assembly to its core. In her flight, Mira quite literally ran into Cax, a gruff Zephyrian commander with 4 muscular arms and a no-nonsense demeanor. Initially suspicious, Cax quickly realized the gravity of the situation when he saw the Vexery forces in pursuit. "This way, envoy," Cax growled, leading Mira and Lyra through a maze of service tunnels. They emerged in a secluded docking bay where they met Nara, a lithe emerald-skinned peacekeeper with a sharp mind and sharper reflexes. "I've been monitoring Vexery communications," Nara explained as they boarded her sleek scout ship. "There's something big going on, and it goes beyond just the Kresh." As they fled the assembly station, Mira shared everything she'd learned about the Kresh and the Vexari conspiracy. Cax and Nara exchanged grim looks. "We've suspected the Vexari of foul play for years," Cax rumbled. "But we've never had solid proof." Nara nodded, her fingers dancing over the ship's controls. "This could be the key to unraveling their grip on the assembly. But we'll need more than just your word, Envoy Chan." Their quest for evidence led them across the galaxy, from bustling spaceports to long-abandoned outposts. Along the way, they uncovered fragments of an ancient civilization, the Axiom, that had once spanned the stars. The Axiom artifacts they found hinted at a symbiotic relationship between sentient species and creatures like the Kresh. As they pieced together the puzzle, they realized the Kresh were more than just animals. They were the key to unlocking powerful psychic abilities that lay dormant in many species, including humans. The Vexari had been suppressing this knowledge, using the Kresh as weapons to maintain their dominance. Their journey culminated on a remote planet on the edge of known space. There, hidden beneath millennia of sediment and jungle growth, they discovered an ancient Axiom facility. As they explored its cavernous halls, holographic recordings flickered to life, revealing the true history of the Kresh and their connection to other sentient species. But they weren't alone in their discovery. Zorax and a team of Vexari elite guards had followed them, determined to keep the truth buried. A fierce battle erupted in the heart of the facility, with Mira, Cax, and Nara fighting desperately against overwhelming odds. In the chaos, Mira and Lyra found themselves separated from the others, cornered by Zorax himself. The Vexari ambassador's eyes blazed with fanatical fury as he raised his weapon. "You've meddled in affairs beyond your comprehension, human," he snarled. "The galaxy isn't ready for this knowledge. The order we've maintained for centuries will crumble." Just as all seemed lost, Lyra let out a deafening roar. The sound reverberated through the facility, awakening long-dormant Axiom technology. The walls hummed with energy, and suddenly, Mira felt a surge of power coursing through her mind. In that moment she understood. The Kresh weren't just animals to be tamed or weapons to be wielded. They were catalysts awakening latent abilities in those they bonded with. Myra's mind expanded, connecting with Lyra's in a way that transcended mere communication. Together, human and Kresh turned to face Zorax. The Vexari ambassador stumbled back, his weapon clattering to the floor as he witnessed the power of their bond. With a thought, Mira disarmed the remaining Vexari forces, ending the conflict without further bloodshed. In the aftermath of the battle, as Cax and Nara secured the Vexari prisoners, Mira accessed the Axiom facility's central database. The wealth of knowledge it contained would change the course of galactic history. The true nature of the Kresh, the potential for interspecies bonds, and the psychic abilities that lay dormant in countless beings. It was all there, waiting to be shared with the galaxy at large. Returning to the interstellar assembly was a tense affair. Mira stood before the gathered representatives, Lyra by her side, and laid out everything they had discovered. The chamber erupted into chaos as the implications became clear. Some representatives reacted with fear and anger, calling for the suppression of this knowledge. Others saw the potential for a new era of cooperation and understanding between species. The debate raged for days, with Mira, Cax, and Nara tirelessly advocating for transparency and change. In the end, the truth could not be denied. The evidence from the Axiom facility was irrefutable, and the demonstrations of the Kresh-human bond were too powerful to ignore. The Interstellar Assembly voted to declassify all information regarding the Kresh, and to begin a new program of interspecies cooperation. The Vexari, their conspiracy exposed, faced severe sanctions. Zorax and his conspirators were stripped of their positions and brought to trial for their crimes against sentient beings. The Kresh were freed from their role as weapons and recognized as a sentient species in their own right. As for Mira, she found herself at the center of a new initiative. The Interstellar Assembly tasked her with establishing a training program to explore the potential of human-Kresh bonds. Lyra, ever by her side, became a symbol of the new era of interspecies cooperation. Cax and Nara, honored for their roles in uncovering the conspiracy, were appointed to key positions in the Assembly's peacekeeping force. Together with Mira, they worked to reshape galactic society, breaking down barriers between species and fostering understanding. The journey ahead would not be easy. Centuries of mistrust and prejudice couldn't be erased overnight. But as Mira looked out at the stars from the observation deck of the assembly station, Lyra's comforting presence beside her, she felt a surge of hope. They had taken the first steps towards a more united galaxy, one where the bonds between species could unlock incredible potential. The Kresh, once feared and misunderstood, were now seen as invaluable partners in exploration and diplomacy. As more humans formed bonds with the creatures, new discoveries were made almost daily. The psychic abilities awakened by these connections led to breakthroughs in medicine, technology, and even space travel. Myra's own abilities continued to grow. With Lyra's help, she could now communicate telepathically across vast distances, coordinate complex operations with unparalleled efficiency, and even catch glimpses of possible futures. But with these powers came great responsibility, and Mira was ever mindful of the lessons learned from the Vexary's abuse of the Kresh. As the years passed, Mira watched with pride as the first generation of human Kresh pairs graduated from her training program. These teams were dispatched across the galaxy, serving as ambassadors, explorers, and peacekeepers. They faced challenges and made discoveries that would have been impossible for either species alone. But not all was peaceful in the wake of these changes. Some fringe groups, fearful of the power represented by the human Kresh bonds, launched attacks on training facilities and research stations. Mira and her allies worked tirelessly to protect their people, and to demonstrate that this new power could be used for the benefit of all. One of the most significant breakthroughs came when a human Kresh pair made first contact with a previously unknown sentient species on the fringes of the galaxy. The Kresh's ability to facilitate mental connections allowed for peaceful communication where traditional methods might have led to misunderstandings or conflict. As news of this success spread, more and more species within the interstellar assembly began to explore partnerships with the Kresh. Each new pairing brought unique insights and abilities, further enriching the galactic community. Mira, now in her 50s but still as passionate as ever, found herself reflecting on the incredible journey that had led to this point. From that first tense encounter in the assembly chamber to the thriving interspecies cooperation she now witnessed, it had been a path filled with danger, discovery, and profound change. Lyra, her scales now shimmering with a hint of silver that came with age, nuzzled Myra's hand. Their bond had only grown stronger over the years, a testament to the deep connection possible between humans and Kresh. As Mira gazed out at the bustling spaceport, watching ships from dozens of species come and go, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The galaxy had changed so much in the past 2 decades, and she had played a pivotal role in that transformation. However, their work was far from over. Reports had been coming in from the outer reaches of explored space about strange anomalies that defied explanation. Unusual energy readings, inexplicable gravitational disturbances, and eerie silences where there should have been bustling star systems. Cax, his 4 arms now adorned with the markings of a high-ranking assembly official, approached Mira with a grim expression. "We've lost contact with another colony," he rumbled, his voice low with concern. "That's the 3rd one this month." Nara, her emerald skin now etched with fine lines of experience, pulled up a holographic map of the affected region. "Whatever's causing this, it's spreading," she said, her fingers tracing the pattern of silent colonies. "And it's getting closer to core assembly space." Mira felt a chill run down her spine. She and Lyra shared a look of understanding. This was a threat unlike anything they had faced before, something that even their combined abilities couldn't fully comprehend. "We need to investigate," Mira declared, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her gut. "Assemble a team. We'll take the Axiom." The Axiom, named after the ancient civilization whose secrets had changed everything, was the most advanced exploration vessel in the assembly fleet. Equipped with technology that melded the best of multiple species innovations, it was their best hope for uncovering the truth behind these disturbing events. As they prepared for the mission, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of another paradigm shift. The Kresh, sensing her unease, gathered around her. It wasn't just Lyra now. Over the years, Mira had formed bonds with several of the creatures, each connection adding new depths to her abilities. The night before their departure, Mira found herself unable to sleep. She made her way to the Axiom's observation deck, gazing out at the stars that had once seemed so distant and unreachable. Now they were her home, her responsibility. "Trouble sleeping?" The voice belonged to Dr. Alara Venn, the ship's chief scientist and one of the first graduates of Myra's human creche training program. Her creche partner, a sleek creature named Zephyr, padded silently beside her. Mira smiled wryly. Just pre-mission jitters, I suppose. Though after all these years, you'd think I'd be used to it by now. Alara leaned against the railing, her eyes reflecting the starlight. This is different though, isn't it? We're not just exploring or mediating a dispute. There's something out there. Something that scares even the creche. It was true. Mira had sensed it through her bonds, a deep, instinctual fear that the creche couldn't quite articulate. Whatever awaited them in the silent sectors of space, it was ancient and powerful. As the Axiom prepared to depart, Mira addressed the assembled crew. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with Zephyrians, Novalians, and a dozen other species. Each paired with a creche, their bonds a testament to how far they'd come. We face an unknown threat, Mira began, her voice carrying across the launch bay. But we do not face it alone. Together, we represent the best of what the assembly can be. Our diversity is our strength. Our bonds are our shield. Whatever we find out there, we will face it united. A cheer went up from the crew, a multi-species chorus of determination. As they boarded the Axiom, Mira felt a surge of hope. They had overcome so much already. Surely together they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The ship's engines hummed to life, and with a flash of energy, they were away, streaking towards the edge of known space. Mira stood on the bridge, Lyra by her side, as familiar stars gave way to uncharted territories. Little did they know that this mission would test them in ways they couldn't imagine. The true nature of the creche, the legacy of the Axiom civilization, and the very fabric of the universe itself were all about to be challenged. As they approached the first Silence colony, sensors picked up an anomaly. A massive structure, unlike anything they'd ever encountered, loomed in the distance. It pulsed with an otherworldly energy that set every creche on board on edge. Mira felt a tremor of both fear and excitement run through her. This was it, the moment that would define not just her career, but perhaps the future of the entire galaxy. "Take us in closer," she ordered, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "Whatever's out there, it's time we faced it head-on." The Axiom moved forward, its crew united in purpose, ready to confront the unknown. As they drew nearer to the mysterious structure, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of a discovery that would dwarf even the revelations about the creche. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what secrets would be unveiled in the silent reaches of space. And at the heart of it all stood Mira Chun, once a novice diplomat, now a leader of a united galactic effort. Whatever came next, she knew that the bonds they had forged between species, between humans and creche, would be the key to their survival. As the Axiom's sensors probed the massive structure, strange readings began to flood the ship's systems. Dr. Venn's voice crackled over the intercom, a mix of awe and concern in her tone. "Envoy-chan, you need to see this. The energy signatures. They're like nothing we've ever encountered. It's as if the laws of physics themselves are being rewritten around that thing." Mira hurried to the science lab, Lyra close on her heels. The creche's agitation was palpable, a low whine emanating from deep in her throat. As they entered the lab, holographic displays flickered to life, showing impossibly complex equations and swirling energy patterns. "What are we looking at, Doctor?" Mira asked, her eyes trying to make sense of the data before her. Dr. Venn shook her head, her usual confidence replaced by a look of wonder. "If I had to guess, I'd say we're looking at a gateway, a doorway to somewhere else. Another dimension perhaps, or a different point in spacetime altogether." The implications were staggering. If this structure was indeed some sort of interdimensional portal, it could explain the disappearances, the silence that had fallen over entire star systems. But it also raised a host of new questions. Who built it? Why? And what lay on the other side? As the crew debated their next move, a sudden surge of energy from the structure rocked the Axiom. Alarms blared as the ship's systems went haywire. Mira felt a searing pain in her mind, her connection to Lyra and the other creche momentarily overwhelmed by an alien presence. In that instant of contact, Mira caught a glimpse of something vast and incomprehensible. Beings of pure energy older than stars, moving between realities as easily as she might step from one room to another. And with that vision came a message, not in words but in concepts that burned themselves into her consciousness. The cycle nears its end. The harvest approaches. Your kind must be tested. As quickly as it had come, the presence vanished, leaving Mira gasping for breath. Around her, she saw other human Kresh pairs similarly affected, their bonds stressed to the breaking point by the alien contact. Cax's voice boomed over the ship-wide comm system. All hands brace for impact. We're being pulled in. The Axiom shuddered as an invisible force dragged it inexorably towards the massive structure. Mira watched in a mix of terror and anticipation as the swirling energies engulfed their ship. There was a moment of utter disorientation, a feeling of being unmade and remade in the span of a heartbeat. And then suddenly stillness. As the crew regained their senses, they found themselves in a place that defied description. It was as if they were floating in a vast sea of stars, but each point of light was a window to another world, another reality. The Axiom drifted among these cosmic bubbles, its systems struggling to make sense of their new environment. Mira stood on the bridge, her mind reeling from what she was seeing. This was beyond anything they had imagined, beyond even the wildest theories about the nature of the universe. And somewhere out there, amid this sea of realities, were the answers they sought. As the crew of the Axiom gathered themselves, preparing to explore this impossible space, Mira couldn't help but feel a sense of destiny. Everything that had led to this moment, the discovery of the Kresh's true nature, the uncovering of the Vexery conspiracy, the formation of new alliances, it all seemed like preparation for this. They stood at the threshold of a new era of discovery, facing challenges that would test not just their technology or their bonds with the Kresh, but the very limits of their understanding of reality itself. Whatever lay ahead, Mira knew that the fate of not just their galaxy, but countless others, might well rest on the decisions they made in the coming days. With Lyra by her side, her crew at the ready, and the combined knowledge and strength of multiple species at her disposal, Mira took a deep breath and gave the order that would change everything. Let's see what's out there. Prepare for first contact. As the Axiom ventured deeper into this cosmic tapestry, the crew worked tirelessly to make sense of their surroundings. Dr. Venn and her team of scientists labored around the clock, analyzing data from the ship's sensors and trying to decipher the strange physics of this interdimensional space. Mira spent long hours in meditation with Lyra and the other Kresh, attempting to interpret the cryptic message they had received. The cycle nears its end. The harvest approaches. Your kind must be tested. The words echoed in her mind, carrying a weight of cosmic significance that she couldn't fully grasp. Days passed, though time seemed to have little meaning in this realm of endless possibilities. The Axiom drifted past countless reality bubbles, each one offering a tantalizing glimpse of worlds both familiar and utterly alien. Some showed versions of their own galaxy, subtly different in ways that sent shivers down Myra's spine. Others revealed realities so foreign that merely looking at them threatened to overwhelm the human mind. It was Cax who first noticed the pattern. Look, he said, pointing to a holographic map of their journey. We're not just drifting. Something's pulling us along a specific path. Nara nodded, her emerald eyes narrowing as she studied the display. It's like a cosmic current. But where is it taking us? Their question was answered when the Axiom suddenly emerged from the sea of realities into a vast open space. Before them loomed a structure that dwarfed even the portal they had entered through. It was a massive station, if such a mundane term could be applied to something so awe-inspiring. Its architecture defied Euclidean geometry, twisting in ways that hurt the eyes to look at directly. As they approached, a voice resonated through the ship, bypassing their communication systems and speaking directly into the minds of every crew member. Welcome, children of the young races. You have been summoned to the Nexus. The voice was neither male nor female, neither singular nor plural. It carried with it an age and wisdom that made Mira feel like a small child in comparison. Who? What are you? Mira asked, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to remain calm. We are the custodians, the voice replied. We have watched over the cycles of creation and destruction, since before your stars were born. And now you have been chosen to represent your reality in the great trial. The crew exchanged worried glances. Mira felt Lyra press against her leg, the Kresh's presence a comforting anchor in this sea of cosmic uncertainty. What is this great trial? Mira asked, steeling herself for the answer. It is the test that all sentient life must face when they reach a certain level of development, the custodians explained. A challenge that will determine whether your reality is fit to continue, or whether it must be reset to try again. The implications were staggering. Mira realized that the fate of not just their expedition, not just their galaxy, but their entire universe hung in the balance. And if we refuse? Cax growled, his forearms tensed for a fight that he knew deep down he couldn't win. There was a moment of silence and then, refusal is not an option. The cycle must continue. But fear not, for you do not face this trial alone. Suddenly, the axiom was bathed in a soft light. As it faded, Mira gasped. Standing on the bridge were translucent figures, representatives from the civilizations that had disappeared. Among them, she recognized members of long-lost colonies and even some axiom ancients. These are the souls of those who came before, the custodians explained. They will guide you, for the trial is not one of individuals, but of the collective spirit of your reality. As the crew of the Axiom tried to process this revelation, the massive station before them began to change. Sections of it peeled away, reconfiguring into a series of challenges that stretched out as far as the eye could see. The great trial begins now, the custodians announced. May your bonds be strong, your wisdom deep, and your courage unfaltering. For the fate of all you know rests upon your success. Mira looked around at her crew, humans, aliens, and Crush alike. She saw fear in their eyes but also determination. They had come too far to falter now. Whatever happens, Mira said, her voice carrying across the bridge, we face it together. For our homes, for our loved ones, for every living being in our reality, we will not fail. With a collective deep breath, the crew of the Axiom stepped forward, ready to face the greatest challenge in the history of their universe. The great trial had begun, and the very fabric of reality hung in the balance. The first challenge of the great trial materialized before them, a shimmering arena that seemed to stretch infinitely in all directions. As the crew of the Axiom stepped into it, they found themselves separated, each facing a mirror image of themselves. The trial of self, the custodian's voice echoed. To lead others, you must first conquer your own doubts and fears. Mira stood face to face with her doppelganger, its eyes reflecting all the insecurities and regrets she had buried deep within herself. She felt Lyra's presence in her mind, a steady anchor in this sea of self-doubt. All around her, her crew members were engaged in similar confrontations. Cax grappled with 4 copies of himself, each representing a different aspect of his personality. Nara's emerald skin had paled as she faced her own demons. As the battle raged on, Mira realized that this wasn't a fight that could be won with physical strength or even tactical brilliance. It required acceptance, understanding, and growth. Drawing on her years of experience and the wisdom gained from her bond with Lyra, Mira took a deep breath and began to address her fears one by one. She acknowledged her mistakes, accepted her limitations, and embraced her potential for growth. Slowly, her doppelganger began to fade, merging back into her. Around the arena, she saw her crew members achieving similar breakthroughs, their faces etched with a mixture of pain and enlightenment. As the last of the mirror images disappeared, the custodian spoke again. You have passed the first trial. But beware, for the challenges only grow more difficult from here. The arena shifted, transforming into a vast network of interconnected puzzles and mazes. The trial of unity, the custodians announced. Your individual strengths mean nothing if you cannot work as one. This challenge pushed the crew to their limits. It required seamless cooperation between species that had, until recently, been strangers or even enemies. The humans had to trust the intuition of the Crush, the Zephyrians had to rely on the analytical skills of the Novalians, and everyone had to learn to communicate in new and innovative ways. Mira found herself coordinating efforts across impossible distances, her bond with Lyra amplifying her ability to connect with the other human Crush pairs. Cax's forearms became a crucial asset in manipulating complex mechanisms, while Nara's unique sensory abilities allowed her to perceive patterns invisible to others. Hours blended into days as they worked tirelessly, solving one intricate puzzle after another. Just when it seemed they had reached their breaking point, the final piece fell into place. The maze dissolved around them, and they found themselves back on the bridge of the Axiom, exhausted but triumphant. But there was no time to rest. The ship shuddered as it was enveloped in a field of swirling energy. Outside the viewports, they could see entire galaxies being born and dying in the span of seconds. The trial of cosmic understanding, the custodians intoned. To shape the future, you must comprehend the fundamental forces that govern existence. This challenge was unlike anything they had faced before. It required them to expand their minds beyond the limits of conventional physics, to grasp concepts that defied their current understanding of reality. Dr. Venn and her science team worked feverishly. Their minds melded with their creche partners, pushing the boundaries of theoretical physics. Mira and the other leaders had to make split-second decisions based on information that their brains could barely process. They witnessed the birth of universes, the collision of dimensions, and the dance of fundamental particles that underpinned all of existence. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly transformative. As they grappled with these cosmic truths, Mira felt something shifting within her. The bond she shared with Lyra was evolving, expanding to encompass not just the creche but the very fabric of space-time itself. With a flash of insight, she understood. The creche weren't just catalysts for psychic abilities. They were living links to the cosmic consciousness that permeated all of reality. And through them, all sentient beings had the potential to access this universal awareness. As this realization spread through the crew, their perception shifted. Suddenly, the swirling chaos of cosmic forces became comprehensible. They could see the patterns, understand the rhythms of creation and destruction that pulsed through the multiverse. With this newfound understanding, they were able to navigate the cosmic currents, guiding the Axiom through the heart of creation itself. As they emerged on the other side, the custodian's voice resonated with what almost sounded like pride. You have achieved what few before you have managed. But the final trial still awaits, the trial of choice. The ship came to rest in a vast chamber. Before them stood two doors, each radiating with unimaginable power. Behind one door lies the power to reshape reality itself, the custodians explained. Behind the other, the key to unlocking the full potential of all sentient beings in your universe. Choose wisely, for this decision will determine the fate of not just your reality, but countless others. Mira looked at her crew, seeing the weight of this choice reflected in their eyes. They had come so far, faced so much. Now everything hinged on this one decision. As they debated, argued, and soul-searched, Mira felt a deep calm settle over her. She realized that this moment of collective decision-making, of weighing the fate of billions, was the true test. With a shared look of understanding, the crew of the Axiom made their choice. Mira stepped forward, her hand intertwined with Lyra's scaled claw, and approached the door on the right, the key to unlocking the full potential of all sentient beings. We choose this path, Mira announced, her voice steady and resolute. Not for power over reality, but for the empowerment of all. As her hand touched the door, a blinding light engulfed the chamber. Mira felt a surge of energy course through her, connecting her not just to Lyra and her crew, but to every living being in their universe. In that moment of cosmic consciousness, she understood the profound implications of their choice. The light faded, and the custodian's voice resonated through the chamber, tinged with what could only be described as approval. You have chosen wisely. By prioritizing the growth and potential of all over the power of a few, you have proven your reality's worthiness to continue and evolve. The chamber began to dissolve around them, and the crew found themselves back on the bridge of the Axiom. But they were changed. Each of them could feel a new awareness, a connection to the cosmic web that bound all life together. As they looked out the viewports, they saw their universe with new eyes. The barriers between species, the conflicts that had seemed so important, now appeared trivial in the face of their shared cosmic heritage. Your journey is not over, the custodian's voice echoed one last time. It has only just begun. Return to your galaxy, and guide your fellow beings towards this new understanding. The age of isolation is ending. The age of true unity is dawning. With a flash of light, the Axiom was transported back to the edges of known space, where their journey had begun. The mysterious structure that had first drawn them here was gone, its purpose fulfilled. As they set course for home, Mira addressed her crew, her eyes shining with the light of new possibilities. We carry within us now the seeds of a new era, she said. Our task is to nurture this knowledge, to help our entire galaxy know, our entire universe, realize the potential that lies within every sentient being. The journey back was filled with anticipation and planning. They knew that introducing this new cosmic awareness to their civilizations would be a monumental task, fraught with challenges and resistance. But they also knew that it was necessary for the continued growth and survival of all sentient life. Months later, as the Axiom docked at the Interstellar Assembly headquarters, they were met with a mixture of relief, curiosity, and apprehension. The news of their discovery spread quickly, causing ripples of excitement and fear throughout the galaxy. Mira, alongside Cax, Nara, and the rest of the crew, spent the next several years traveling from world to world, teaching and guiding. They helped establish new training centers where individuals could learn to access and control their newly awakened cosmic awareness. The Creche, once feared and misunderstood, became revered as vital partners in this journey of universal enlightenment. The changes were not always smooth. Some resisted, fearing the loss of their old ways. Others sought to exploit this new power for personal gain. But slowly, steadily, the galaxy began to transform. Species that had been at war for generations found common ground in their shared cosmic heritage. Scientific and technological advancements accelerated as researchers tapped into the universal consciousness for inspiration and understanding. The boundaries between organic life and artificial intelligence blurred as all sentient entities recognized their place in the cosmic tapestry. As the years turned to decades and decades to centuries, Mira watched the fruits of their labor blossom. The Interstellar Assembly evolved into a true galactic union, with representatives from every sentient species working together in harmony. Exploration pushed beyond the boundaries of their galaxy, making peaceful contact with other civilizations and sharing the gift of cosmic awareness. Mira, now in the twilight of her years, stood on the observation deck of the newest version of the Axiom. Lyra, her scales now a brilliant silver, stood faithfully by her side. Together, they watched as a fleet of ships prepared to embark on a mission to make contact with a newly discovered galaxy. "We've come so far," Mira mused, her hand resting on Lyra's head. "And yet, our journey is still just beginning." Lyra rumbled in agreement, her thoughts intertwining with Myra's in the cosmic dance they had perfected over their long years together. As the ships winked out of sight, entering the vast unknown of intergalactic space, Mira felt a profound sense of peace and accomplishment. They had faced the great trial, made their choice, and in doing so had set their entire universe on a path of growth, unity, and endless discovery. The cycle hadn't ended. It had transformed. And as Mira gazed out at the star-studded expanse before her, she knew that the greatest adventures still lay ahead, waiting to be discovered by the countless beings who would follow in their footsteps. In that moment, surrounded by the hum of the ship and the warmth of Lyra's presence, Mira Chen, once a novice diplomat, now a legendary figure in galactic history, smiled. The harvest had indeed come, but it was a harvest of knowledge, understanding, and limitless potential. And it would continue growing and evolving for eons to come.